Good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another game of the Sept of the Howling Winds Guru Werewolf, the 20th Anniversary Edition. Tonight, Jong Lee has been back in town and finished recently a pack ritual, which puts them at a very interesting crossroads. As a result of the actions that have occurred today, he is in brighter spirits and has the intention of meeting up with Cori as they had planned before. He's currently sitting on the edge of the rooftop where he had mentioned they should meet up, waiting, dressed in workout clothing with a knife in a sheath strapped to his thigh.
Was she aware that did he mention that this is going to be a working out kind of thing? Because they had talked about that.
Yeah, just a light workout day while they're talking.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure he had actually told her, because she doesn't typically. Well, she will probably show up wearing like a tank top and some sort of like leggings, tennis shoes. And yeah, I mean she does have her bag with her, but well, actually it's her backpack, because she doesn't go anywhere without it. But yeah, so she will find herself coming up there and meeting him, not at all quietly, because that's just so awkward in this scenario. She's making noise as she walks, because sneaking just would not be smart here.
Jong Lee nods as she approaches. I take it the fire escape wasn't too much of a problem?
I had a problem with it the other day. I had that great time with you, and then the other day there was an issue, but I got it on the second try, so I figured that's not too bad. Today was fine.
Good to hear, he says, getting off the ledge. You're the first one that I've ever seen wear something appropriate for this.
What, exercise stretchy things?
Well, something that isn't miniskirt or jeans.
Yeah, I don't wear skirts a whole lot. It's not the best thing, just in case I have to and she'll kind of make a sort of a like that, her hand like into a claw. The mini skirts really just aren't very practical for going for that implication of going wolfy, Trinos or something.
He shrugs his shoulders. I kept mine dedicated.
Fair, but I'm still not all that into mini skirts.
No, I'm not suggesting that you need to be. Just pointing out I appreciate the practicality.
No problem. How was your trip?
It was eventful. It was successful. I believe you got a text from me.
Of course. But, we don't really tend to go into details over text.
Say again?
She said, yes, but we don't tend to go into details over text.
No, we don't. I was referring more to the pictures that were passed around. Not sure who went on that particular raid, but I'm hoping it was helpful.
Well, I certainly found a good hiding spot. I'm really the only one who hid.
Well, he has a half smile, but there's a look in his eye that's saying that he's not actually smiling.
Well, that particular thing, we ended up with not the whole pack, but the alpha of their pack came back with us to see how things were in our sept. They were pretty upset about Black Spiral Dancer situation. Shock of shocks, right?
Understandable.
Said a lot of things that I agreed with.
and I can understand why they took the actions that they did.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we're living in crazy town, to be honest.
We are. Well, he says, stretching his arms over his head and beginning to stretch while they continue talking. So, the pack has been officially formed.
Your path is set.
He actually twitches a little at that. His cheek scrunching up and then relaxing again. I guess it is.
Once you have a totem, it's real. I've never had one yet.
It's a unique experience. It's different. He says, looking at his hands. It's inspiring.
I'll take your word for it. Eventually, I hope I will find a pack that makes sense for me. I've considered my cousin and Adelaide's, but I'm not sure it's really right as much as I'd love to be in a pack with those two.
I made my own decision for this pack when it came down to what I told you before, but the totem in question is one that understands individuality.
Fair enough. I can see why that would be important here.
It is, though I might have to relinquish myself of the duties that I've put forward depending on how my next mission goes.
What duties are you referring to here?
My self-imposed ones to ensure that the Black Spiral dancers don't do anything inappropriate and are truly seeking redemption.
And what would cause you to have to change that?
Not being alive,
That is a legitimate reason to not fulfill that quest.
I would normally ask someone else to keep an eye on them, another no moon, but
Oh, I can try to keep an eye on them. But I mean, I feel that I might jump the gun even faster than you.
well, don't say I do not say that I would disapprove of that, actually. Sometimes a patient long-term outlook can be problematic in its own way. After all, we don't know what's going to happen to me in the next few days. So,
Are you enjoying being enigmatic?
I'm I'm enjoying being a no moon. I'm enjoying myself in a way that only someone who has a secret can. But to drop the pronoun game, as it were, I plan on going to Connecticut again. I have something I need to deal with there. There's well, I found out who Justin's mother was.
Who's Justin again?
One of the black spirals that I'm in a pack with.
Ah, sorry, I haven't met him yet.
No, no. But he's the one who informed me what happened. This attack was coming. His mother was involved.
So it's partly aimed at him.
Yes.
So basically, if you, depending on how you want to take this point of view, the open-mindedness of these people, of our leaders, in some ways brought on the attack on ourselves because they allowed the Black Spiral dancers in. Like I said, it's depending on point of view.
I believe the answer to that question would be that is exactly what I told the families of the entire leadership of our sept. They just all happen to be no moons. Over beer.
You know, we gotta stop sharing a brain sometime.
They were a little hurt that I think Emil Raya has had made an error in judgment.
Next time I get the chance to, I'll pretty much be saying the same thing. I'm allowed to say my opinion.
It would be best to remind them that you are also a no moon immediately following it.
Or before. Whichever.
I tried the before. It didn't work out very well.
Noted.
And Liam Raya is a Athro. So his strong opinions on the matter are backed up by more than harsh words.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm not someone who would sit there and go, well, it's their, it's our fault that they attacked because they chose to do it. But you can't take away the blame off people who certainly had a part of it.
Which is why I'm going to bring Justin's mother back to the sept with the help of other members. It's going to require some preliminary missions, help from individuals, each within their skill set.
Is she, what rank is she?
Well, that's what I'm hoping you and I can find out.
I see. So this time I get an invitation to Connecticut?
Well, you never needed an invitation in the first place, but
Well,
you're the.
I'm not one to impose myself on someone who has a solo mission in their mind.
Well, the solo mission was one that was best is done best solo, much like we have a tendency to bring too many Guru to missions that require clandestine operations.
Fair enough.
This one would be a clandestine operation, but one that you and I are uniquely suited to as a team.
I'm all ears.
Well, she goes into the city. I know that much.
What tribe?
Congratulations. Hmm?
What tribe? Do we know?
Yes. She's a child of Falcon.
Silverfang.
Yes.
Well, that's usually pretty easy to smell from a distance.
House Gleaming Eye.
She twitches a little. She's heard some stories about House Gleaming Eye.
You're starting to see why I don't want to do this alone.
Well, if nothing else, if one of us can get away, then we can go back and tell the story and know what happened.
I have significant doubts that we're both going to die, so yes, that would be part of the plan. Conversely, you can see what I mean by I don't necessarily believe that the survival rate of this for myself will be 100%.
Well, we can blend into the city. And that is fair. What I would add to this, though, it might not hurt to have a backup on call to come in just in case. Maybe not there, but like through a mind link or something.
So I was thinking about that. However, I can't I can't think of an individual who would be patient enough to sit around and wait.
Have you cleared this through Emil Raya?
He has a broad grin on his face. The best part about asking someone for permission in the throes of an emotional trauma is they don't think about what they promise you or agree to. I'm allowed to take any number of operations as I see fit to dismantle their infrastructure, as long as I take, and I quote, no offensive operations or attacks that end in bloodshed, specifically death, against their sept.
So as long as we're just looking to weaken and kidnap, we're fine.
Yes.
Okay. Well, if you're so you're allowed to just take people and make them be patient then?
Well, the problem with that is convincing some people to remain patient. I am, after all, nothing more than a Cleath. And so everyone I can think of for backup outranks me and has made numerous mentions that if they ever get out of the eyes of the Sept, they might take certain other operations into consideration that would violate the strictures placed on me.
Fair enough. So here's my thought on this. I broke into that store the other day. I brought Adelheid with me, and he was willing to let me lead because I'm the one who knew what I was doing in this scenario. He might be willing to be patient.
What I have been told about Adelheid's opinion of the situation, he that ironically might be different.
Hmm?
He's apparently been the one most strongly advocating for an immediate attack upon the enemy sept.
He is Get, but he's not a warmonger.
I don't believe he is either. I do understand, however, that he believes we already are at war, and I don't disagree. The Alpha disagreed with him, vocally. He kind of froze his brow at that, and frankly, I don't want to know what happened in that discussion.
She nods.
I'd prefer, honestly, if we were able to grab Veronica Raya, but I heard she's on a honeymoon.
Oh, okay. People are constantly hooking up and getting married and having babies all the time around here. I guess I just kind of don't pay attention.
Please don't tell me you're ever going to be one of them.
My personal life is my own. Whatever I do is my business. And really nobody else's.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I'm not going to turn into part of this gigantic pool of dating game going on, hooking up, poly, whatever. Like, I don't care what they do, but I'm just not really. That's not my thing. As long as they can just keep the focus on what's important, that's really what I'm worried about here.
I can understand that. It's my personal preference as well.
I promise I'm not going to ask about your personal life, aside from asking about your mom, because, well, that's not dating.
Well, as you should know at this point, my personal life consists of, well, he stops and considers. I almost phrased that badly. He grinned. Well, I guess what I was trying to say is that currently you are in my personal life, so hiding my personal life from you would be rather counterintuitive.
Huh.
I'm
Kinky.
I knew this was coming.
She just starts laughing at him. I know what you're talking about. It's just funny. But I speaking of your mom, I am actually working on finding a new place to live. Um and that's fine. I'll give you my new address once I have it. But I was going to suggest you might want to do the same thing. Even if you're not worried about yourself, you should keep your mom safe.
I'll be sending my mother to live at the Sept if you think that moving would be a good idea.
Just because I don't know for sure. Look, listen, the files that I found in there, well, that Adelheid and I both found. We found files connecting them to a Pentec subsidiary. And we found pictures, like there's an actual picture of you that they took from somewhere. They know where we, like all of the ones who live off Sept, they know where we live. They follow us. They've taken pictures. They're not good pictures, but they have pictures.
He grins. He's actually grinning.
I figure if they're going to be staring at us and watching us, well, I'm going to watch right back.
It sounds good to me. May I make a request of you then?
Absolutely.
I need you, if you're willing, to continue to join me on these evening exercises. I do them regularly with a very strict routine during the week when I'm not on business.
I mean, as long as keep in mind I am in school, so I have homework sometimes, but I will absolutely join you as much as I can. I will try to work around what you need me to do.
Wonderful. Because if they're monitoring me, then they will know that they likely at this point know my routine. So when I lay the trap, then, and I deviate from it, they're going to assume something major has occurred.
Well, I get what you're going for. That's fine. I did. I did our. I We did our best to leave no trace behind of us having been there.
Excellent.
Um, Tried to put everything back the way we found it and all that stuff. And I definitely got the bugs in about 6 different places.
Great.
So I'm going to be tracking all that as well, of course. But I'm just hoping we can get over some plans, some names. Even if maybe we can get locations and I can spread the bugs further. We just need to. Yeah. There's dirt. That's about the best I can say, I guess.
Well, Hopefully we can get them into an ambush using this information.
I hope so. It's going to take some time on. It's going to take some time, to see what kind of information I get, because it's a tedious process, if you know what I mean. Going through all of this damn footage, like not footage, all these recordings.
I'm surprised you haven't requested the aid of a pattern spider yet.
I'm not a theurge. I can't speak to them.
No, but
Maybe I can find someone who is, though.
I believe I know a Qualmy who could.
What's a Kwame?
Well, it's when you pick up the phone and you dial my number.
Ha ha. You so funny.
It's a member of my pack. His name is Ben.
Yeah, would you ask him if he would meet up with me? And I'll willingly pay whatever chiminage is required. Because that would make my life so much easier. Like, I'm running out of time. And I have enough bugs there that it's going to take some real, work to keep track of it, you know?
That I do. Well, if you're willing to talk to my pack mate, then I will look into it and see what I can do. I mean, worst case, I can just order him to, but I'm sure he's willing to on his own.
I mean, it is for the greater good in this case, isn't it?
Agreed.
It's not like I'm doing it just to be lazy. Yeah.
Well then, I believe we have the situation well in hand.
Yeah.
Well, again, if the worst comes to pass, then I plan on. Well, it'll be good for you to know someone in my pack who is trustworthy. Someone who has a unique perspective.
So what is a Kwame for real? Aside from being someone in your pack?
They're Bastet. Catfolk.
Oh, right. Yes, I've heard of them. I just didn't know that was a specific type, I guess? Kind of like a theurge?
They haven't explained much to me. I assume that they're a specific type, like a crescent moon, but I know that he considers himself our pack's crescent moon, so
Well, then let's see how that ends up working.
at the very least, I know he knows how to summon and speak with spirits.
That would be enough. Even if they won't make a deal with him, they should make a deal with me. I would really mostly need a translator, I hope. And, of course, the summoning part.
Of course, he's good at the translation. So,
I'll have to talk to him and see what kind of chiminage makes sense for a pattern spider.
that's going to be a good question.
Well, I'll talk to him, and if he doesn't know, then I will talk to somebody else. There's got to be someone out there I can talk to about it.
There are, but he chuckles. I know there only one other crescent moon who's tech savvy, but unfortunately she is not adept with the spirits.
That's awkward. A theurge who's not good with spirits?
She's more of a healer. Sasha. She's very skilled with medicine and DNA and computers, but
Not ideal for this.
no, as she is quick to remind people, not the best when it comes to spirits at the current moment.
Well, at least she's honest about it.
And then, well, there's us. I mean, after all, we are children of cockroach with relatively minor affinity for the technological arts.
Actually, not terrible with, working with the right things, cell phones,
And I'm
bugs.
and I'm good with cars, but everyone expects us to be good at what? He says with a half smile.
She grins and she's like, I mean, I still have people kind of convinced that I am good.
Well, I mean, a lie told often enough becomes true.
Maybe someday it will. I did not lie to Emil Riot, though. I told him the truth. But they had nobody better to try to figure out the problems, so I tried. Luckily for me, it worked.
Lucky indeed. Come on, let's start running, he says, leading her over to the edge. I'm gonna start us on a short route. It should be easy. I put some markers ahead of us so that we'll be able to keep track of it. Nothing too hard, nothing like 20-foot spans or anything.
Good, because that seems like that would be a bad choice for me right now.
That's a bad start for anyone, even myself. I mean, next thing you know, I'd probably be falling to my death unless I call upon Gaia's gifts.
Do you ever see other people up here?
I don't actually. Most people, he chuckles, they tend not to look up.
She nods. So would it be okay if I mean, it should be pretty safe if I leave my bag here, right?
Well, no one's come by and stolen anything of mine yet, and I've left revolvers, but
I just figured I'd check. I carry
th-
my life in that bag.
well, the good news is I know that my starting point here, he says, tapping on the near the ledge. This, no one's ever been watching us up here when I've scouted out the area. I bring individuals I need to talk to privately when I'm in the city here.
Well, unless those lovely leeches are using like some sort of magic to watch you here, which we probably wouldn't know, but I have no idea what their skills are.
Well, if it allows them to transform into anything, then I would know.
Hmm. I mean, most of them are wormish. I would assume makes sense, but I have to actually try to see that. So
I always assumed that those leeches were going to smell more of the Weaver. I mean, after all, they
maybe,
live forever, right? I mean, that seems to be the common myth.
unfortunately, I don't know how to sense Weaver. But alas, it doesn't matter at this point. And she's gonna like take her phone out, stick it like in the little pocket, on it, and like her just like the set of keys as well, and stick that in like it. It's the leggings she has on have these little pockets, so she's gonna tuck them into that, and then and set down her backpack, like behind something, so it's at least not an obvious main view. And yeah, she's gonna walk over to where he is, and just because she's not worried about falling so much as the backpack may be throwing her off balance, and since she's new at this.
So as they start running across the tops, Jong Lee will be making some pointers as they go, but continuing the conversation mostly as best he can. So I guess now that we've traded information, And we have a decent plan going forward. Connecticut, he says, hitting the ground and coming up. What are your thoughts?
Well, like I said, as long as we have a vague area that she would be at, smelling her should not be hard. Silverfang always reek of Silverfang.
I think that's an excellent choice of words in this case.
Yeah, so the question then would be knowing where to start. Or potentially, if we know her name and something like that, then we
Well,
could use Pulse of the Prey.
we do know her name, and we do have something that's whether she likes it or not is important to her.
Do we know her cell phone number?
Unfortunately, we do not. My packmate Justin is not necessarily as favorable towards our Weaver tech.
Damn. Because if we had that, I could try to track the GPS. Is there any chance he could potentially get a hold of it as her child? I don't know if how much of is known. You know what I mean?
Uh, no, they're not close. In fact, that's why we're in the situation we are.
That's what I
He's
thought. I'm just verifying.
he seems to think that this is to partially cover it up. The only reason I'm even sharing this information with you is because it is important for you to know the reason that we're going to be going on something so suicidal.
Well, if we plan well enough, get an attack from behind, a really good sneak attack, we have a chance.
We do. Hopefully, we won't need to make a strike on our recon. I would like to just figure out where we could pull this off at in the first place.
Fair enough. I'll also say if guns can be used, you might be able to get some attacks from a distance. And it's not any kind of a veil breach.
I agree. Unfortunately for me, I prefer to be up close. That said, having fire support from a distance isn't something I would be opposed to.
I can work on getting something that is good at a distance. I am really good with pistols, but there's no reason why I shouldn't use something appropriate for the mission at hand.
I can
Not this
agree.
mission, but the next one after that. When you during that.
Yes. Hopefully, we won't need a weapon on our first mission. If we do, then, as I said, that's why it could be dangerous. We don't know what sort of anti-surveillance defenses she has access to.
All right. Then what we need to start with is information on when she typically goes into the city. When is good, and where she might go would be the second piece.
So I put a bunch of hidey holes and blinds for us, he says, chuckling. I think we can monitor the sept well enough that we'll be able to see her entering the city.
Maybe I could set up a camera or something so that we can, see when she leaves. And then, so maybe we can just trail her to get an idea for the pattern she goes.
Sounds like a good plan to me. If you can get those set up, I think we have ways to prevent the elements from bothering them.
As long as we take the time, this should work. Meaning, we'll set it up. Probably have to let it run have to see what kind of footage we get over the week, maybe 2 weeks, and then go back to do the rest. Because
He
we
nods his
don't know
head.
how regularly she goes.
I knew I picked the right person to assist me.
It's all about patience with this stuff. If you're patient enough and you take the time, you can get whatever information you want. That's why I was specific about not taking the files so that when we went in there and just taking pictures of them. Because if we took them, it would be noticed.
Jong Lee will stop at this point, though he's doing a jogging motion to keep himself uh, revved up. That makes sense.
Yeah, she's kind of paused as well and probably more out of breath than you are. She does have like athletics too, so she's not embarrassment, but
Yeah, Jong Lee actually has just recently increased his stamina, so he's looking in pretty really good shape. And thanks to his totem boost, he's actually able to jump higher and further than he was before.
fair enough. I have done nothing with her physical stats, so I'm at 233.
He's at God, because I am literally the only one who's been like doing workouts constantly. Jong Lee is at thanks to his totem 454.
Yeah, so she's. I mean, but you had chosen to make this an easier one anyways because it's
Yes,
like her first time. So, um, I mean, she's not. She's a little out of breath, but not as bad as she could be.
you're doing great, Cori.
Right. Whew. I will have earned that latte when I get home.
You keep doing this with me every week, and you're going to be in great shape.
I jog. I usually do jog, so you know. But this is a little bit more strenuous. As she kind of stretches out her, because she's starting to feel like the muscles in her legs a little bit more, so she's kind of like stretching.
Jong Lee chuckles. Well, this is honestly, I feel the most important thing about fighting in a city is being able to utilize all the terrain to your advantage. One of my one of the targets that I had to chase down at one point tried to run through traffic to lose me.
Like playing Frogger?
Well, yes, he says, actually getting your reference for once.
Well, it's a really old, so backwards compatibility works here. It's super old.
He was very surprised to see that I had made it across the street first.
Fair enough. I guess I haven't done a whole lot of targeting people in the city. I mean, I have a little. Most of what I've my my rite of passage was actually a spying mission. So but that was really more in a building and not like through traffic.
I understand that.
But you have a point. I should I should be better at this.
Well, mine was a retrieval mission. So I had we'll say a head start on you. He says, starting up again.
Yeah, she's probably caught her breath and is just like, oh, here we go again. and but she's like stubborn enough to like push through it until he says that's fine. so so she'll just keep going even though I'm sure she's tired way before you. So
So, you're a crack shot right now, yes?
I'm good.
I know someone who you might want to, if you want to improve even further with, say, bows, consider training with.
Bose, you sound like my mother.
Well, I mention it mostly because It could give you some insight into how a black spiral dancer fights.
Her eyes narrow a little.
I've been doing some training with Darcy.
I'm not sure what to say to that.
The best way to defeat your enemy is know how they fight and how they think.
But he is just one black spiral.
And currently, out of all the lower ranking ones on the sept, the deadliest. He grins as he lands on the ground again, rolling, coming up until this time he's sitting on an AC unit.
I mean, she's pretty much just trying to mimic the way he lands, trying to land like lightly, and like mimic the rolling thing. Like she's trying to get a feel for this thing. I'm not going to say she's probably fallen a few times, but she doesn't complain. She just gets up and keeps going.
Yep. Well, this time when he stops, he pats the spot next to him, motioning for her to take a seat.
Yeah, that's fine. She will. I'll consider on Darcy. I don't know what to think about much of that. Besides, when they learn, like when you learn about them, they learn about you if you're practicing with them.
Jong Lee nods. They do. They do to a degree. Though his eyes narrow for a second. Though in Darcy's case, I'm not sure he has learned.
He's your alpha, is he not?
He is. And I find myself angered by some of the decisions he's made.
You can challenge.
No, because it has nothing to do with his alpha ship. He hasn't made any poor decisions there yet. It's more the cavalier attitude about tribe.
About tribe. Because tribe is a major choice. It's something that I don't think any of us with a brain would go into lightly.
I'll be frank, I don't understand his motivations yet. He wants to be a member of the Wardens of the Lost, which the Black Spiral Dancers are becoming a camp of.
So I've heard.
He wants to do things for family. But he forgets them easily.
That's weird.
I saw it when we were first beginning our pack quest for the totem.
How'd you forget your family?
Apparently, I eclipsed them in what he believes will be my when I mentioned that should he die, that I would really appreciate if he would tell me what his funeral arrangements would preferably be.
I mean, that's fair. There is a chance of us dying at any point.
He mentioned that he would like me to promise him that I would take care of his family should he pass.
I mean, that's a legit thing since you're a packmate.
With two of his family members present in our pack who would
Uh,
likely still be alive even if he died.
that's a valid point. He could be a bit more specific.
Or he could have asked his family to watch his immediate family.
She nods.
I was able to diffuse the situation by turning it into a joke, pointing out apparently he thinks all of you are going to die for him before he dies, and that I will be the one who survives.
I mean, you probably would. She looks at him.
Oh, most definitely. But the he should have asked his family first.
She nods. Did you ask them to care for your mother as well?
No.
She nods. Like, this is the answer she was expecting. Even though it's an awkward answer, it is exactly what she expected. I can tell you this, though. If something did happen to you, I would try to make sure your mom was taken care of.
I appreciate that. Though
I mean, we as a tribe are terrible. Terrible with our kin. But I'd like to think I'm an exception.
I thank you, Cori.
She nods. Like, she doesn't seem dismayed at all by this discussion of death because, like, this is just the way life is. There's a good chance we're all going to go down in flames at some point. The ones who survive to, like, Athro or higher are, like, the rare and, like, magically cool ones.
So I have to ask. What's driving you right now?
Few things. One, I find these vampires to be very interesting, and I want to bring them down. They kidnapped one of ours, and I didn't know her, but that doesn't change anything. If they have and apparently they've actually been kidnapping many of us, and then they make us into these monstrous creatures made up of several of us at a time. I'm sorry, but I don't think that that's anything we should have to deal with. I'm motivated by school. I am motivated by duty. I know my job, and I plan on doing it. If that's fighting, then I'll fight. If it's questioning someone to the point that they are just pissed off and pissed as hell at me, that's also fine. My family is not here. They are in New York. But if I found out that one of my younger siblings were in trouble, I would be back there like in an instant to handle the situation. If for some reason my mom or my million other family members couldn't handle it. My family is a motivator. And I admit I'm pretty interested in this faith thing. Probably comes from my heritage.
I apologize.
From
I
my
mean,
heritage?
no, I mean, I was curious what you wanted for yourself.
For myself? That's what school's for. Partly. Partly. I want more than just what a lot of Garo seem to want. They just want to live and die the Garo dream. I'm perfectly willing to live and die the Garo dream, but I want more. At least I have to strive and try for more. And have a life. And I want to have a job that pays more than just like I want to have a job that I feel like maybe I can make a difference in the nation with.
What do you think the Garu dream is?
Well, most of them just want to live and die for glory in battle. There's a lot of Garo who are into that. Keep in mind, I came from a sept with a lot of get in it.
Makes sense.
I don't want that.
There are some who would say the dream of the nation is to perhaps go the path of honor and raise a family and perform duties.
I might have a family someday. Not right now. Me, I don't see you pushing for a family.
Then
And I'm
again, all I am is a weapon, so
not true. You are more than that.
I could potentially become more than that. Yes.
See, that's the thing. Most of us die before we get to see our potential. And that's kind of an overarching goal of me of why I do what I do. I want to minimize the death. I want to see more of us get to be old, you know? We lose so much experience, so much wisdom because of all of the death.
Well, fortunately, the most wise things I have done, I've already passed on to you.
Like your Jeep when you left.
And my gifts.
She nods. She knew what he was referring to.
Which is why, worst comes to worst, I'm going to give you Hidden Blade to bring back to the Sept if anything goes wrong on the reconnaissance mission.
I'm going to say that I'm going to assume that it's not. Not because I'm afraid of death, but because I think if we take the time and plan it right, we can have a major advantage.
I agree. That's why I'm only bringing one other person along, because that will minimize the chance of something going extremely wrong.
And if we're going to do it in the city, then we do have to be careful of the veil.
Well, that again is no problem for me. After all, he pats the knife.
Yeah. She points back towards her backpack because she doesn't have her gun on her at the time, but the gun was in the backpack.
That's another reason I'm bringing you. A bow and arrow is rather suspicious. Claws and, well, overwhelmingly tall men tend to stand out.
Well, I'm an overly tall woman, and I will stand up for that reason. But I am actually human in that form. You know that she's like 6'2". She's really freaking tall. So
He has a half smile on his face. True. You're not Aiden, though, turning into, well,
oh god, has he done that in the city?
you didn't notice while we were in the middle of the alley and climbing up, well, watching him fail to climb up the wall.
Wait a minute. Oh, see, I'm trying to remember right now because I remember him climbing, but I don't remember him being in another form. Was he in another form?
Yep, he turned into Galabro for the entire time because he has fair Galabro.
Oh well, that's okay. Like fair Glabros is okay because they just look like you just look like a person.
You do. However, as Jong Lee feels about that, the problem with that form is twofold. One, he's relying upon his supernatural strength and healing to keep him in a fight, and two, that form has one critical weakness. Silver.
True.
Over reliance upon that is dangerous.
Well, I will be honest with you. I rely on a fetish when I know I'm going to go into a situation with that could potentially be a fight as well. You know my jacket, the one with the really gaudy thing on the back that says unconquerable. You've seen her wear it like 1,000 times, that black leather jacket.
But if I took that jacket away from you,
I'd still have my skill. I just wouldn't take wounds as well.
and since your fighting style involves you shooting at range,
Yeah, it does.
it puts you in a position where it's unnecessary. It's a good thing to have on you, much like my knife. There are many people, many other guru at the Sept that I'm hoping to expand the realms of capability.
Well, to be fair, I'm sure we could all improve at something.
Absolutely.
For me, I basically don't go into lupus unless I have a reason. I just I'm just not comfortable there.
I find that I still have yet to achieve mastery of every combat style. I've been hoping to get away from that. Unfortunately, it seems that circumstances aren't going to allow that to happen. After all.
I don't know. I mean, I don't object to lupus. Like the other day, I did use it for once, but it's because I knew I really had to be sneaky to get past those Pokemon. Sorry, that still sounds so absurd. You should have seen the look on Emil Rai's face when he was talking about the Pokemon. Like he couldn't believe that he had to like deal with Pokemon. Kind of hilarious. But I mean, I just wanted the extra edge. so that I could get past them. Because I am not Team Valor. I am Team Mystic. So I would have been a ready target.
Mm. And you're pretty adept at sneaking around.
I'm not bad. I think you're better.
He quirks a brow at that. Well, I could help.
Are you trying to set yourself up to be my mentor, Jong Lee? Teach me everything?
Well, I mean, that is half of our duties, is to teach. But no. I am no mentor or father figure or
Oh, I wouldn't have said father figure. Would not have gone there.
oh, I'm not referring to you. He says, rubbing his temples.
I see you as an equal.
You shouldn't. You're my better.
How is that even possible? How am I better?
He leans back for a second, hands behind his head, thinking. Just kind of placidly staring at where the stars should be at this point.
Yeah, if there weren't lights there.
Well, you've picked a better path to walk.
It's different. It doesn't make it better. Look, you and I are different. It doesn't really matter because we're also pretty similar in some ways. We have some really similar opinions if you haven't noticed. We just kind of tackle it different ways.
And your way is the better path. It's not the only path, but it is the better path to take.
Well, if you think it's so much better, you realize you could change paths? Branch
I
off
do.
somewhere?
But the Sept needs me to do what I do.
Well, right now my path is solo. I'm a bit of the lone wolf at the moment.
And because of that, you're not selling your soul.
That's true. The thing is, I want to do stuff with the city. I want to track down corrupt and possibly tainted corporations or things that would do things against us, and I want to see what we can do to sort that out. I want to see if we can help people, or I mean, God knows what. There's so many things that happen in this city, and I want to do those.
You want to monkey wrench.
Mm-hmm. If I can break in somewhere and fuck up their computer system, and if that would slow them down, yeah, that's what I want to do.
Hmm.
That's what I want to do. And I haven't yet to run into people who have similar goals. I mean, I've met one, I think, one who has similar goals, but that doesn't make a pack.
No, it doesn't. I mean, after all, he chuckles again. I've already been trying to clean up the city.
Yeah, you would have been a good choice, but you have chosen a different path.
For now.
Understood.
Embers of Pride isn't going to need me forever.
What did you say again? I'm sorry, I missed it. OOC.
Embers of Pride is not going to need me forever.
Eventually, they'll prove themselves or ruin themselves. Is that what you mean?
Essentially, yes. If they prove themselves, I'll speak for them when the time comes at the formation of the Wardens of the Lost. I will help them achieve what they're trying to achieve, the redemption they're seeking. At which point in time, my place in the pack is over. Because the eyes of the nation are on them, and the pack's focus is going to become serving for lions, serving for the tribes, survival. And that's not something I can support.
Just surviving?
No. Defending the survival of the new tribe.
Ah. So you have a problem with the new tribe? That I did not know.
Well, the people who wished, the guru who wished to found it.
The Garu that found it?
Are going to be the Black Spiral Dancers.
Oh. But that isn't actually who started it, I don't think, right?
No, that would be Johann Quartermain, my packmate.
So tell me, how big is this tribe supposed to be? Because I keep hearing about it, but honestly, I never hear about it anywhere else but here.
Well, it's not big enough yet. They're trying to get members. They believe that they have a totem that they can put in front of themselves, but they're lacking political legitimacy in the nation. They do not have a Karen of their own. Even the Silent Striders have Karens. They don't have rituals, nor have they made the necessary deals yet with enough spirits for gifts to be bestowed upon them.
So it's a long term goal.
Yes. But once this war with the enemy sept is resolved, once this has gone back to political and spiritual negotiations, I will continue to try to support the tribe from outside, but considering everyone in my pack will be joining it, with the exception of myself, you can tell where their focus is going to lie compared to mine.
That's valid. I can see where you wouldn't really feel like that would be a permanent home for yourself.
And that was part of the condition of me joining.
Why did they want you? To add legitimacy to their pack?
When I tell you the reason, you're going to think I'm full of myself.
I mean, I asked the question. I have never seen you. I've, I've never seen you be just cocky. So if you are, I'm going to be interested in what it looks like.
Darcy wanted the wisest and deadliest person of similar rank to him in the sept.
Well then, To what end? Is he planning to use you as an assassin as well?
More for the wisdom, but also as a warrior to assist individuals who are less focused on the martial arts.
Well, I'm not sure what to say to this, but thank you for answering.
It was an unusual request.
Yes, I think I would be able to agree with that. Um, I mean, packs form for a lot of different reasons, so that is its own thing. The what I want is to find one that has similar goals to mine.
Defending the city.
Mm-hmm. Trying to cleanse the corruptions, at least the ones that affect us.
He nods his head.
Not necessarily every political corruption ever.
Can I share with you a secret?
Bring it on.
Most would know us for clashing Boom Boom, right?
Mm-hmm.
I actually was considering trying to find an ambush totem when I thought I was going to be on my own for much longer.
An ambush totem. Did you have some idea?
Trapdoor spider.
Why is that a secret?
I just joined the lion pack.
Yes.
I'm not sure how lion would take that.
Well, you didn't actually do it, so
No. I wanted to, though.
well, I mean, you have your current path, and the path can go somewhere else eventually, and maybe it'll go back that way. Who knows?
Well, I believe it will eventually, and I'll find myself bereft of company once more.
Or you can join me in my search for the city pack. It's a very gallant effort. Like, you just soul stirring.
You could always join me in monitoring the Black Spiral dancers in the short term.
I I'm not sure how I can do that and not be nothing but snide all the time. It would not be discreet and it would probably be uncomfortable.
I like to remind my alpha every day that I'm plotting to kill him. Apparently, Darcy believes this is the height of humor. So,
Why do I feel like he doesn't really know you?
Well, he knows what I'm capable of and where I came from and what I've done, who I've done it to, and how I've done it. So either it's a nervous laugh or he something else broke when he danced a spiral.
Well, considering that most of them seem to come out mad, don't they? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if something did break in him.
But it's how I say hi now.
So it's a case of, "Hi, I'm going to murder you today."
No, that I'm plotting to, because I don't necessarily know if I'm going to murder him or not.
Well, we must be accurate in our threats.
Precisely. I mean, if I'm inaccurate, then what good are my threats?
We're grammar murderers. Apparently, we are grammar murderers.
I'll add that to the list of bodies I've buried.
Including grammar. Oh, God.
Can I be frank on one more subject?
Sure.
You're the only one I know so far. The only one who genuinely laughs.
That, like, sobers her up pretty quickly. Because that's just kind of sad to her. You know what I mean? I mean, you see the sept like that? That the laughter is just gone?
For many of them, it died the moment that pack did, the messengers.
I mean, that's fair. It is a sober and kind of. It is a serious time right now.
Everyone else I know is either running from something or feels lost.
I mean, I'm a little lost, but that's not. Mostly it's because I just don't know how to deal with something that, like, feels so wrong. But I'm basically kind of feel powerless to do anything about it. I feel lost in that aspect, but I'm not lost in my what I think, and I'm not lost in my location. I certainly know where I am as she looks around. I don't know. Do you think it's wrong of me?
No. I don't even believe that you're lost when it comes to the Black Spiral Dancer situation.
I just gotta find the right people to say things to, and then they'll laugh me off like, I don't know, that seems to be a thing. A lot of people just kind of look at raggies and they're just like, they're just being a pain in the ass, ignore them. So sometimes that can be a thing.
You could go for my avenue of approach. I metaphorically stab them in the kidney and let them bleed out emotionally.
Not so much my style.
All
I don't
right,
know.
you can borrow my other approach.
What's that?
Literally stab them in the kidney and watch them actually bleed out. He's smirking at that.
I mean, that is probably even more effective. I don't know. I kind of feel that if we can't find the humor in anything, I mean, I understand that no one's always going to be happy. Like, if someone's just died that you loved, obviously you're not going to be at a good place. But I mean, there is a certain amount of argument that part of our job is also to try to lighten the mood and to try to bring people up. It's so easy for us to drag everyone down, but like, I don't know. I guess I just see a lot of things as funny, even if no one else sees it.
He'll nod.
I mean, kind of like, I mean, we're seen as the pranksters and the jokers. The Galliards are seen as what? The entertainment committee?
Depends on the gibbous moon you're talking to.
Yes. I mean, obviously, I know I'm sort of mocking a little bit because we both know there's a lot more to it than just what I'm saying.
Which just reinforces your point.
Yeah. You and I are both new ones. But we have different points of view on how that should be handled. And I don't really, I'm fine with the way you're handling it. I think there needs to be different kinds of us out there.
You know what's funny?
Hmm.
You call us new moons and I call us no moons.
I've been known to use either or.
I think new moon has a certain lightness to it.
You might be right. That's does kind of explain. Maybe you're the dark side of the moon, Jong Lee.
That I most assuredly am.
It's fine though. I guess it means maybe we balance each other out a little bit. I'm being snarky and sarcastic and saying whatever the hell I feel, and you're just standing back there waiting for the right moment to get that dark comment in. Who knows which will be effective on the right person, right?
True. In the long run, though, I think you have the capacity to do great things.
Sorry about that. I'm back. Um, I hate this headset so much sometimes. Or this computer. I don't know which the problem is. One of them is the problem. Um, so do you. Your mind is calculating, and you're very good at planning and executing, not in the terms of executing a person, although that is its own subject. I just meant executing a plan. The thing is, you and I both know that what we are means that many of us are willing to take roads that a lot of other Garo might not be okay with. Honor isn't really as much of a thing for us. I mean, a certain kind of honor, but it tends to get a little specific for us, doesn't it?
It does.
I'm not saying we're honorless at all, but
You can be considered ethically lacking, even if you're found to be of the highest honor.
I find honor to be kind of a cold sort of thing. If that's your only companion, you're pretty lonely. I'd rather just accomplish the thing I need as expediently and with as little damage slash death slash hurt as possible. I'm not worried about the honor of the situation.
Well, fortunately, it's not like it's Bushido that we have to follow.
True. I mean, kidnapping isn't really the friendliest thing, but someone's got to do it. And I really feel that it probably would be better to be people who can actually potentially pull it off without, I don't know, going outright murder.
I agree. And I prefer to keep things as bloodless as possible.
We are going to have to weaken her, though.
Oh, I have that covered. I've been talking with Grandfather Thunder, and he owes me a favor.
I see.
And I believe he's willing to procure for me a silver knife to stab into her.
Ow.
It's really hard to call upon your spiritual energies when you have a silver knife in your hamstring. Also hard to regenerate and overcome the poison that will be in your system.
Well, I hope she wasn't pretty because that's going to leave a mark.
She is actually apparently very pretty.
Well, if it's
I
only a leg, maybe she can just, wear leggings to cover it up. She sort of smirks a little bit.
I also plan on repeatedly punching her in the face until she's unconscious. I hear on good authority that our regenerative properties are such that that'll take a while.
Also, if you can grapple, just grab onto them and hold on until they wear themselves out.
He grins. See, you're reading my mind.
And two of us have a better chance of pulling that off than just her. We really need to know what auspice and what rank, though.
Yes, and that is what I'm hoping to discover. Because if, for instance, she is an elder full moon, I might actually need to stab her multiple times.
An elder full moon could kill both of us in like 2 hits, one each. I'm just gonna say, your best bet on that case would be yes. You're going to need somebody with some real that's someone that can pack a punch.
He raises his hand.
I wasn't being literal, like you are.
On a more serious note, I could very likely weaken her with one blow.
I wonder if someone could make silver into some sort of a potion, something inhaled. so that she could just inhale it, or we could force it down her throat maybe while one of us is holding her. Something that would just would weaken her just enough that we could that she might get knocked out, and then we could bring her back.
Oh, that's what the poison is for.
Well, you said a silver knife.
Well, the silver knife is to uh, prevent her healing factor from being able to fully bring her back to awareness, in addition to the poison and very likely my other knife being jabbed into the other hamstring.
I will say this too. A gun to the head can be pretty effective. She might be willing to stop fighting if that's going on.
Exactly, which is why another reason he says motioning at her, I was hoping to bring you along because I figured you could have the silver bullet.
I will have to see what I can do to pull off getting some of those. I don't actually have some right now, but I will check into it.
And so if my initial strike fails and I'm about to be stabbed with something that is going to be unpleasant, you might be able to step in at that point. Or if you're slower, then after she stabbed me with something unpleasant, you could step in.
Right. The only thing we need to discuss here is should she be about should she be if she dies. I realize that that's not something you're allowed to do.
That's why I wanted to bring Sasha on the mission, so that worst case we have someone who can heal and stabilize her.
Okay.
It's also why I planned on bringing Adelheid and Gabby for the um, extraction.
Fair enough. This sounds like a good plan because those two are pretty good. By the way, I'm not when I said my cousin before, did you know who I was referring to?
He stops and thinks. You know, if I had to wager a guess, I would say the only person who. There's only one person I could think of, and I'm hoping I'm wrong.
I'm waiting for your guess.
Is Aiden your cousin?
No.
Okay.
No, he's not. Although apparently he and my mom were friends because he went on and on about that the first time I met him.
I remember.
Yeah.
That's why I was really hoping that when he said friends, it wasn't friends with all sorts of benefits.
Ew. She just starts making horrible faces at this idea of her mom with Aiden.
Aiden seems to be quite the gender non-specific Iser.
That's fine, but I mean, my mom's been married for like a million years to my dad. And Aiden, really? Ew. Hope she has better taste than that.
I'm not judging individuals on the type of relationships they have, how open or closed they are.
That's fair, but let's just say that my dad's pretty traditional. And so's my mom. At least in terms of relationships, they're both pretty traditional, like as far as I know, unless they're keeping secrets. Which if they are, I don't need to know. It's fine. But no, as far as I know, they were just friends.
I think I have inflicted upon you the greatest degree of emotional trauma that I have ever done to an individual.
I think you have. Stop.
He. uh,
She's just like sitting over there, like with this horrible, horrible face, like, oh. I'm changing the subject.
So
Gabby is
who
my
is your cousin?
Gabby is my cousin.
Gabby is your cousin.
I didn't know until I finally heard her last name, and even then I wasn't sure. Let's just say there's a lot of she's part of a mystery that happened in my family a long time ago. Her mom and my mom were half sisters, and we knew that you're gonna love this. My Her name was Callie, and evidently she had some sort of trick pulled on her, where she became male. This is kind of awkward because Callie's a Black Fury, or was a Black Fury. And, well, she had a kinfolk girlfriend, and apparently they created a baby while Callie was male. Two babies, actually, since she has a twin. And
Hmm.
then her kinfolk mom basically disappeared with with the kids. We never knew what happened, and like my family's been trying to had we my family's been trying to find those girls for what, 20 years, because we didn't know what happened to them. And then I found her here.
Of all the strange places to find someone.
Yeah. So technically half cousin, but it's very silly to go around saying my half cousin, so I'm just going with cousin.
Well, by all means, if you want to sound silly, I'm not going to stop you.
Right. No, it's kind of cool. It's good to know what happened to them. I won't deny that I'm glad her mom isn't here, because I think I would be possibly wanting to give her a piece of my mind. I get it if you were worried and scared about what was going to happen since Callie had just died and all this stuff. I get that. But is it really okay to take your children away from that entire half of the family and not ever like even let them know that you're still alive? All they wanted was to know. I've heard this story from my grandpa. All he wanted to know was what happened to his daughter's children. He had just lost his daughter, and then he lost the possibility of these kids, that because we knew that she was pregnant. You get the idea. It's kind of dramatic, and I'm just glad that, like I said, I'm just glad her mom isn't here, because that might not go well.
Sounds like you have a complicated family history.
That's just the beginning.
I understand. I intellectually understand.
She nods. That's really all she expected anyway. My aunt's a glass walker. I don't know if I ever told you.
He nods his head at that. And here you are.
Yeah, but my mom's a Fury. My great aunt's a Fury. My half aunt? Question mark. It was a Fury. I was expected to be a Fury too. I didn't. I rebelled.
And now you're a member of Cockroach's brood.
Hmm. Yes. It suits me better. For all that I lack skill in computer.
Well, each of us has something that we can call upon, or a skill or a trait we can draw upon. Or even, I might have some information for you that could be useful.
Aren't you just full of information today?
Well, I've been doing research. And what good is a scout assassin if he can't scout?
Does this have to do with being a glasswalker or computers?
It has to do with being a glasswalker because you're one of the only ones who'd find this sort of fetish acceptable.
A weaver fetish?
A specialty of our tribe.
Continue.
Have you ever heard of a... Well, he pulls out his fang dagger and is twirling it between his fingers. You have heard of these, so you know what they are, but they lack a certain range.
Unless you were to perhaps throw it, but that seems sort of awkward.
Yes, because he says tossing it upwards, um, and then catching it, because there's only so far you can go.
Hmm.
Also, the other person can throw it back, and unless you plan on juggling for a while, that doesn't sound like fun.
Dodge!
What if I told you while I was reading through that I found that our tribe has a penchant for fetish guns? You might say they have a fetish for them.
That is about as bad of a joke as Aiden would say.
Thank you. I've been practicing so that
So that you could be like Aiden?
so I can send him into a mindless, raging frenzy.
You know, if you do it long enough to me, I might just go into a mindless raging frenzy too.
I'm trying to picture that. It is
I'm
perhaps the cutest picture I have ever seen.
She just blinks because she's like this. She's not some tiny little person, so she's just like, huh? She doesn't quite get this. Tell me about the guns. Let's take away from the cutest comments.
It was just that I came across, I guess the best term I can come up with is fang pistol.
That sounds badass.
It does indeed.
I've never heard of this, but maybe I can do my own research and to see if there's. Maybe I can call my aunt and see if she's heard anything of it.
Well, it's a potent tool, if I've ever seen one, and it's something that our tribe is known for within our tribe. So if she knows anything about fetishes, I bet she'll have quite a bit of information for you.
She's a theurge
She will have quite a bit of information for you.
and an Adrian. I hope she does by now. Thank you for that information. I will see what I can do with it.
You're welcome. I trust that that particular secret will stay amongst only other children of Cockroach.
She gives him like sort of a slow grin and nods. Yeah, I mean, that's the plan. If I were to somehow get a hold of one,
Then,
then people might guess what it was, but
but at the same time, I might not be the only one suddenly known for his skill at dispatching opponents in a very quick manner.
sometimes things have to die.
Due to the actions of our sept, sometimes has become often.
You know, I just want to say this that I actually don't mind much of the modern thought that we have going on here. I've never understood why medicines should be looked down upon. Like it's not their fault, you know? I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be trying to work with the Pharaoh. That makes perfect sense to me. If we're all on the same side, right? It's just the Black Spiral dancers. It's really the only thing that gets me.
Well, it doesn't have to be something that necessarily makes you mad. It's more our sept has been pushing change for the nation. Change is good. I mean, we all support the wild after all. Change,
Yes,
however,
we as glasswalkers are amazing with the wild. She stares at him.
change also is painful. Our tribe sheds its identity constantly, and the
Mhm.
cost is high. The sept wasn't prepared for the fact that change was going to have,
Consequences?
yes, they weren't anticipating these types of consequences.
Well, with as many people and families that Black Spiral dancers have killed or ripped apart, that was just dumb on their part.
Or all the years of war with the Pharaoh, or the hard
Yes,
feelings other septs have towards Metis still.
right. I mean, I'm lucky in some ways. Like, I come from a pretty progressive kind of political mindset. Um, my uncle was the one who actually introduced the Kinfolk Bill of Rights. My mother supported it. Oh, see, this was like 20 years ago in the old New York, in Elwad, but it
Mhm.
happened. She said everything that happened there happened.
Okay.
So, I mean, not every sept has ever accepted it, but the simple fact is, I've been on the forefront of this stuff. Like, I've never seen why I should be some kind of weird traditionalist because, like, what are the metas doing that hurts us? Nothing. Treat them like people, and then they can be good Garu too, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I guess it's not even for me, I think, when it comes to them, to the BSDs, to the Black Spiral dancers, it's not even like the fact that they've hurt so many people. Okay, well, they have. It's the fact that, but that's not it. It's the fact that we know that many of them are actually literally insane. And when their goals are so different from ours, I just don't see how in the world anybody could trust them. Insanity's not a great thing to deal with.
No, it's not. And the choices that they made. And their, well, in our case, their issues with the Weaver.
She nods. I mean, they kidnap our kinfolk, keep them in cages so that they can force them, to have babies for them.
And even though we have offered sanctuary to some, there are clearly others out there who we would have to be on the watch for.
Oddly, I haven't heard anything about them in this sept.
Because no one wants to talk about it.
Well, I'm not going to be the one who denies it. And I don't think you are either.
The Black Spiral Dancers, their acceptance into the Sept are unfortunately outside of our control, but
It is. That doesn't change the fact that that people higher than us could change the rules.
and once, well, now you're seeing why I'm trying to end this war quickly.
Because we got bigger fish to fry.
Because the litany won't allow me to go before our Sept Alpha and say anything until such time as the war is over.
Ah, yes. No challenging the Alpha when at war. Would you actually challenge him?
Well, I can't challenge him, but I believe there might be certain other ranking positions closer to my rank once I have completed my challenge.
Fair enough.
And once I am a Fostern, that does open certain opportunities to me.
It gives me the chance to avoid calling you Raya, too. Like I do to everybody else. She just kind of grins at him. It's a challenge to see how long it takes for people to realize that I never actually say Raya.
And no one at the Sept cares.
Exactly. Works for me. I mean, I have referred to Emil Raya a few times here, yes. But that's mostly because you were, and to be honest, when someone's like a freaking elder or something, it's a little different than if they're just like a foster. No offense meant.
Not like I'm going to be worth that much as a Fostern anyways.
That isn't at all what the point is. The point is just it's a challenge. It's me trying to test my boundaries. That's
I
it.
understand. I'm just pointing out that I'm no leader yet.
If you're not, then you will be. You just gotta stay alive long enough to do it.
That's a frightening thought.
You're frightened by staying alive?
More of me being a leader in our nation, or even our sept.
I mean, I feel the same way about myself. I really, really do. Like, I can't imagine
Fine
actually
warder.
someone actually looking to me and saying, "What do I do now, Raya?"
I think you'd make a fine warder.
Okay, shameless troll Raya.
Yes, and you would have all the cubs saying it to you.
Which is the best thing ever. You know I'm right.
Of course.
Making people say shameless troll is just hilarious. I don't even think that get understood. Just what an amazing name he gave me.
But with the fact that you're already thinking strategically at how to protect the city, I think you're thinking further and more long term than our current warder does.
Maybe. The simple fact is, we have a ton of people that are paying attention to everything around the sept or focusing on the Farah or doing whatever. But I don't see anybody focusing on the city with the exception of you. And admittedly, I'm trying. I haven't gotten very deep yet, but it's a process.
It is a process. And we're getting better at that process.
It'll be even better once I start making some connections. Trying to start meeting people who know things.
Oh, you're looking for people with all the knowledge?
She nods. I've done some research. I'm going to start hitting up some of the local bars or whatever to see if I can start catching who works in certain places.
He nods his head.
We got to know where to start if we want to start to, cleanse everything. Not everything, but, got to start somewhere.
I actually know some people that at the Sept who could help you with that.
I just, the corporations are, there's so many of them, and they're not clean.
Which means many of them have to have dirty books. What about a lawyer?
What about one?
If I could get you in touch with one who might have access or knowledge about the legal happenings in the city, would you be adverse to talking to them? They would be, of course, just human,
So they wouldn't know about us?
but they would know about shady, strange things.
No, I mean, either way, I'd be willing to speak. That's not the question. I just wanted to make sure I knew what was okay to say and what wasn't.
Exactly. That's why I mentioned it would just be a human. It wouldn't be someone who knows about us. So wouldn't know also anything about, say, worm activities directly.
Once I start tracking some of this stuff down, I might even look and see if I can find some kinfolk who might be willing to maybe get jobs and be eyes and ears. What do you think?
I think you're going to have some issues with.
It's just an idea at this point.
No, that it's not a bad idea. It's finding
I was thinking Glasswalker can because they tend to fit into the city like we do.
Unfortunately, I believe my mom might be the only one. He says, kind of trying to smile, but it's that
Well,
I have,
I won't be bothering your mother, so
well, there's,
I'll see what I can find because there was some stuff in this file, that file that was showing like some of, because most of us don't live here in the city. We're far less than the people that live on Sept.
yes.
I'm gonna put out some feelers. Maybe there are some ones out and about here that maybe just don't check in as much as other people might. Doesn't hurt to look
No,
or
it
ask
doesn't.
questions.
But if you're looking for infiltrators, ones with jobs,
Ones who can get jobs within places. Once I have a better idea of what I'm looking for, I'll probably look a little more closely then, because that would be means I'd probably need someone with a particular skill set or a janitor. I mean, I suppose janitors have ears too. Nobody pays attention to them.
what about our friends at the new sept?
I don't know much about that.
But Ben does, and you're already planning on talking to him about a pattern spider, so
She nods. This is definitely a bit more of like a step or two down the road anyway.
war and leeches first, then breaching security systems later.
I am not really good enough to do anything in a corporation yet. Maybe I mean I could try.
Oh, I was thinking we do it the old-fashioned way.
Just break a window, because then the security system will still go off.
He looks at her quizzically. Just break a window? Last
If
I
it,
checked, you're able to open all sorts of locks.
sure, sure. I mean, I can if if it's, let's just say it's not a perfect method. She just kind of stumbles through her words because you remember last time out of 3 tries I passed like once.
And also, unlike me, you can just walk through the front door.
Why is it that you can't walk through a front door?
Because he motions at himself. I am a rather obvious threat, but a gentleman of your stature would find that they have a much easier time making it inside.
You're saying that if I were to pull my lovely little trick, that's true. I mean, if nothing else, I am the right height to be a guy. I don't stand out if I'm a guy as much.
And if they do go looking for you later,
You're not necessarily a threat, though. I mean, I know you are, but I mean, like, just looking at you, I mean, you'd have to leave certain weapons behind because they usually have metal detectors going on in a lot of those places.
true.
But then you still have your one knife that you could bring with.
Yes, and just between you and me, that kind of makes me a threat walking through the front door carrying something on me that happens to have a spirit inside of it now, doesn't it?
If they can sense that. I mean, because based on that, what you're saying, I would have to go in without my jacket, which is certainly, I mean, I can do that. but I would just need to have a plan before I'm going to go just marching in there.
Oh, of course. I would never even suggest doing so otherwise. I mean, going in without a plan is tantamount to suicide.
Yeah, we're not that desperate yet.
But as you said, we're just brainstorming, and that would be a way to get you in.
Could get a part-time job as a janitor.
You could
I
indeed.
and maybe an ID that has Chad's picture on there. That's apparently that's my name. I'm Chad. As she sort of smirks at him because it is the worst name, and she knows it's the worst name.
Well, Chad sounds like the perfect person to go to the beach with.
Yes, and to get your hair highlighted, like Ryan Seacrest circa 1999.
We can send you there, and you can be like, I'd like to go to a shore.
Totally doesn't sound fake at all.
Well, I think we've pretty much figured all that we can out, and I've been keeping you up here on the roof with me into the wee hours of the morning.
I'll have some coffee. It'll be fine. You're right, though. I should probably get going. And, now I'm going to give you a goal. Next time I see you, you have to come up with more Chad jokes.
I I'll see what I can do.
Hey, if I've got this weird alt thing, I might as well have the most absurd but common name in existence.
You'll get no argument out of me.
Gotta get my kicks somewhere. As yeah, she kind of have they made it back to the original roof yet?
Yes.
Okay. She's gonna walk over to like grab her bag. Yeah, I'll let you know what my new address is when I move, but it's probably not going to be overly far from where I was before. Just because I picked that location for a reason. Half an hour one direction is the Sept. Half an hour the other direction is school. So it probably won't be, probably something like maybe a few blocks or something off, but nothing crazy.
Well, we have to do this again sometime.
Oh, we will. I agreed I'd be here as much as I could, remember?
I know.
But yeah. Next time I'll bring coffee.
Sounds like a good plan to me. And we really should. Well, how good are you at automotive repair?
Not anywhere near as good as I should be, meaning not at all good. It would be good if I actually knew how to fix my bike though.
Would you like some lessons?
Would you like some physics and chemistry lessons?
He blinks at that. You know, the idea of me with any degree of education.
You're a glass walker. I realize you're not the normal sort of glass walker, but we like education.
I didn't even finish high school.
You want to? I can help you study for your GED.
He quirks a brow at that. depending on how things go after the war, I might be taking you up on that.
And you got a deal then. Because once you have your GED, you can decide what you want to do from there, if anything. If nothing else, you'll have something that you can build from.
It's worth considering.
We'll worry about keeping people alive first.
Yes. And on that note, he says, there is probably one last thing we should discuss.
She kind of pauses, as she like puts the backpack on her back and just kind of turns around to look at him.
We should probably start figuring out a way to make a safe house in the city, preferably multiple ones.
Priority on that would be money. But you're right. Maybe we could actually talk to Emil about that. See if there's any way that they might possibly be able to think up with the money. We can probably secure it. And we just start small with like one, because it would be something that we could use for not just us necessarily, but for everybody, unless you just wanted one for us.
No, everyone at the Sept would be welcome. It'll be a question of whether or not they would like the accommodations. I was thinking that to save some money, we could just set it up in places that are abandoned.
That is a good start until we actually have money.
The Sept already puts a great deal of funds into providing housing and food and on-Sept power grid, and
It's kind of crazy. But, I mean, I understand certain people especially would have trouble.
yes, plus they feel that it's safer to have everyone in one place.
Well, then maybe next time we do this, we can actually go scout out some places and see if we find anything that looks like it would be appropriate.
You have yourself a deal. Just be ready for a bit of a workout, he says with a wink.
You can, whatever you throw at me, eventually I'll be able to handle it.
I don't disagree. Plus, after all, from what you were telling me before, we both have the ability to cheat, he says, grabbing onto one of the outside poles. And I have that temp rage that I haven't had a chance to use it. He'll spin that, and you will see him just slide down. And then for the last half, just do a running. Is actually just running down the side of the building before doing a forward flip and landing on his feet.
She just looks over the edge at him as she starts to slowly, more normally like walk, go down the fire escape again, and she'll just be like, "Cheater."
Child of cockroach. Follower of lion. I cheat and then I show off doing it because I make this look good.
We could just kind of end it with him yelling that up.
Perfect.
As she's just kind of like, whatever, I'm just gonna walk.
All right. With that, then we conclude another session. And thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. Have a good evening.